We're going to get this party rolling. Welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. It is even though we did get some rain, it is a beautiful Friday, and even better looking from in the air conditioning looking outside. But we hope everybody had a good week. I want to welcome. I'm thrilled to say we got all the chamber team back this week, and so we're back in yes, we're excited. And there's for the whole summer, it's just been me and Henry basically here. So it's nice to have other people to chat with in here. No offense, Henry. But we're glad everybody's back. So let's hit some hot issues real quick. I hate to say this, but 1,200 new cases yesterday was actually a relief, right? It's down from where it's been. We're averaging right now the last 3 days, 1,325 new cases, which is down from our high, which was 1986 back on July 11th. That's a 3-day running average. So things are looking good. I guess the mask ordinances are paying off. You know, it's a double-edged sword because a lot of I think we mentioned this last week, a lot of the restaurants have seen a significant drop-off in business, up to 25% drop-off once a mask ordinance was put in place, but we are seeing the numbers go down. I was hopeful that the numbers would drop further, but hopefully we'll get there. But big concern next week is we do have college kids moving in to downtown Columbia, and so we want to make sure that the mask ordinance stays in place, so to avoid another shutdown, which in some parts of the country they're asking for another shutdown. I don't think we can afford another shutdown, at least from the businesses that I talk to. But on that note, I'll merge just a little bit off of what I was going to talk about. But we had a great conversation this week with 3 college universities here in town. We had Dr. Rosalind Artis at Benedict. We had Mark Beeger with USC and Dr. Ron Rames at Midlands Tech. And really insightful information. So if you've missed that conversation, it's back on our website. Feel free to listen to it. But really, we were talking about the economics of coming back and what it means to these institutions. I mean, they are a job creator here in Columbia. It's a huge economic development piece for us because we have college kids here and we get talent here. But they provide a vital resource for us in Columbia. Not only interns and full-time employees, but anyway, it was interesting what they're going to be doing and their role as they see it going forward. So mask ordinance, by the way, was re-upped by the city of Columbia for another 60 days. So get used to wearing those things. And, you know, if you go around, there's a Facebook page about people reporting mask usage, and it's actually been very interesting. I'm a voyeur on that page. I don't comment, but I actually like reading everything. And it's really, a lot of people have adjusted to it takes 17, 21 days to form a new habit. And it seems that people have adjusted to wearing a mask. I still forget. I'll catch myself now and turn around and get it, but I try to keep one in my pocket. I don't like driving around in a car with one, to be perfectly honest. So I keep them on my steering column. But anyway, keep wearing those masks. It'll help. Let's talk about, on that same note, we were talking about numbers. You know, new unemployment claims have dropped again. That was almost predicted last week was the last week of CARES money and the extra $600. And so many felt like that the new claims would drop, and of course they did, which leads to the congressional inaction right now. Notice I didn't say action because they hadn't done anything. I mean, they're still quote unquote negotiating, but if you haven't talked to your member of Congress, I think today's a good day to just give them a jingle and say, y'all, let's get moving. The fact that today they're supposed to leave and go back, August recess should start today, and they don't have a anything to say they've accomplished anything in this last week. So I know they've been working hard, but I think this week has proved nothing else this an election year, because nobody's on the same page. White House, Senate, or the House are on the same page, and so we need their undivided attention today to get to some important business, which is the CARES Act and extending the PPP, an additional round of stimulus money. I'm not getting into the political merits of all that, but when you don't have anything moving, it really impacts a lot of lives. And so we implore members of Congress to at least give us some direction and clarity on a lot of things going forward. So that's all I'll say about that. A couple of things to note. I got a couple of questions for y'all, but we do have, through partnership with Richland County Office of Economic Development, they were gracious enough to offer businesses in town, if they need thermometers, let us know. We've got some here that we are happy to provide. They had some. There are some qualifications. It has to be a for-profit. It can't be a nonprofit. Can't be a governmental entity. But if you are a business that needs some thermometers, let us know. We can help you get those. Secondly, it was noted in this week that the U.S. Census will not be doing the door-to-door going around to different neighborhoods filling out census paperwork due to COVID concerns. And so by cutting that short, we need to make sure that each household in the Midlands region has filled out their census data. So if you have not, go to uscensus.gov and fill that out for us, please. We need everybody, and we need all the groups that you're associated with, your employees. It would be very, very meaningful to fill that out. If you don't realize the importance of the census, I hope you do, but not only is it part of the U.S. Constitution that we do this every 10 years, but it also provides valuable information as we allocate redistricting for our legislative. All branches of government get to be redone every 10 years based upon census counts. But also it helps the feds proportionally allocate resources as we need them, and so we need to be counted. All right. Couple of things. If y'all know the drill, if you need, if you have a question, you can always put it in the chat box for those that are not on camera or had to call in. Or you can always email us at info@columbiachamber.com. I had a couple questions I wanted. Joe Bernard had some good questions that I just wanted to head on this week. Joe, thanks for the questions. He sent it earlier a couple days ago. Two questions. One, is there 2021 strategic plan in place for the Columbia Chamber? If so, what does that plan entail? Very good question. So 2017, we put in a 3-year plan, strategic plan. We brought in a futurist which was the craziest thing ever, right? I didn't know what a futurist was. I thought it was a glorified palm reader. Much to my chagrin, it was not. They were actually knowledgeable people, and the whole idea of futuring was to truly look with, like the military does, is have an insight in mind, have a goal in mind of where you want to go and how you get there, and map it out accordingly. And so we had looked at doing a 5-year plan, and the majority of the business leaders that we had said, no, that's not good. We need to really focus on 3 years. 5 years too long. And so as we are looking at, we were planning to do, I talked to our futurist we talk regularly, but I met with her last summer at a conference, and we're telling her about some things that are going on here, and she goes, I think we need to do a redo, a light version of a full. We don't need to redo the whole plan, but let's just update it. And so that was one of the things that we had scheduled in April and May. Well, that didn't happen. So in fact, I got a call with her later on today, but we want to update that, Joe, to specifically hit some of the things that we need to do. And so the Forward Together plan that we put, it's also on our website, but we really looked at our mission at that time. We were mainly event-driven organization, but we needed to focus more on public policy. We needed to focus on making sure that we were represented in a way that we need folks that are on city, county, school board elections in the elected positions that recognize the complexity of this region. And in order to have solid decisions, we need solid decision makers. And it is a unbelievably tough job to be an elected official today because of the shift that's happened over the last 10 to 15 years. That decisions that were made in DC 15, 20 years ago are now being pushed down to the state level. And the state level has said, yeah, we're not going to deal with that. So they just push it down to the local level. And so it's we need a different type of representative now than we ever needed. The complexities of bond work and all that stuff is there. We expect them to know a lot of things, and it's unfair. So that was a big push to really focus on having the capacity to make tough decisions. And so we're going to update that plan hopefully as soon as we can. But Rebecca Ryan is our futurist, in-house futurist, if you will. And she was spot on in a lot of things that she did. So we look to update that very, very, very soon. Second question that Joe had: how many members are presently in the chamber? We've hovered around 1,100 for the last couple of years. And part of that question was, what percentage of membership would you say has been impacted? And have we dropped off in the last 6 months? Yes, we have dropped off. We have made a concerted effort at the chamber not to drop partners based upon the ability to pay during the COVID, because it's absolutely hitting small businesses at a greater percentage. Have we seen some want to drop? Absolutely. But we've told them we want to work with any partner right now. And it's not, we have a fiduciary duty to the organization, but we also have a responsibility to the businesses we represent. And if they need help, we're going to help them. So, so we hadn't dropped that many, Joe, only because we hadn't felt that's the right thing to do. Now, have we seen a reduction in our numbers from a financial piece? Yes. We are down to date about 33%. So we were having our best year up until we weren't. So January, February, and March were rocking along pretty solidly until we hit a wall. And that's not uncommon to a lot of people. And so, which is unfortunately why we took the position this summer, and we asked staff to stay home. And for 3 months, it put us in a better position financially. And it helped us knowing that the fall were going to be long months. So most nonprofits are going to catch it on the back end, which our base is shrinking. And we know that. But how do we pivot? How do we adjust? We're going to spend a few hours today as a chamber looking at just staff, how we need to pivot going forward, because we have not all been together since April. But we recognize we have a window of opportunity, and I really think, and you got to go. I believe this. strongly that we've got to look at this as an opportunity. Like, where can we see ourselves in this community as an organization, and how do we maximize our time? How do we maximize our partners' times to make sure that we represent the business community as best we can? Now, we're going to have to do things totally differently. Obviously, in-person stuff is not. We did a poll a couple weeks ago, or just a survey to our partners. Said, are you comfortable with face-to-face meetings? It was like 53 to 47. I mean, it was one of those. There's no clear distinction there, right? I mean, if you're only 50% of the folks are comfortable, then we need to think how we deliver our product and what we do. But I know the interaction is important, and so we're going to be brainstorming today to come up with some strategies going forward and what we can do. I know I've not put this out publicly, but just hear me on this. We're not having a gala. That won't happen this year. As much as I enjoy having 700-800 of our closest friends together at the convention center, it ain't happening. So we know a lot of the corporate folks are saying we probably won't do any events for the remainder of the year, which means they can't sponsor anything, which means they can't attend anything. So we're going to have to adjust accordingly. But we also know there are a lot of small businesses out there that don't have those restrictions, that want to expose their businesses to others. We need to work on the B2B stuff. And so we're committed to doing that. So that's a long-winded answer, Joe. Sorry. Yes, we've taken a bath this year, down 33%, but we've managed it as well as we could. Let's see. John, let me make sure. What percentage of membership would you say is still significantly impacted? There is. We'll put out the survey results, Joe, and that question was on there. Have you been? It was very, very high. 85, 90% of the businesses have been impacted negatively. We've seen, of course, some that have, they're having their best year yet, which is really more of a nod to them for being able to pivot. But we'll put that survey out there so you can see for yourself exactly the number of businesses and the results of that. So good questions. Are there any other? Larry, you saw that. You can talk to Rose about thermometers, and Rose, R. Dangerfield at columbiachamber.com has got all the information about thermometers, and so we're happy to help with those. Rose also was kind enough to put, or Anna was kind enough to put our strategic 4 together plan on our website, on the chat box. So feel free to download that and take a look. And we look forward to having one of those futurist sessions really soon. All right, what other issues we got? Tell me this. And I'll just throw this out there. There's conversations going on with students coming back next week that the city of Columbia has left open the possibility of reinstating a curfew or a restaurant closing at 11 o'clock. All establishments closing at 11 o'clock. Now, the governor still has his prohibition of selling alcohol or consuming alcohol after 11 p.m. That's still in effect. But the city of Columbia has left open the option of reinstating a curfew at 11. Any thoughts on that from a business perspective side? Not everybody needs to speak at once.
Well, Carl, this is Beth Dinndorf from South Carolina Governor's School for Science and Mathematics. So our students aren't here, they're in Hartsville, but working downtown and seeing what's going on at the bars in the evening and outdoor one when the school is not in session. I would be very, very much in favor of reinstating that curfew because it's a health and safety matter, and young people can't make that decision on their own. If we can keep them, I know it's hurts the businesses, but this is about health and safety, I think, first and foremost, of everyone, including the servers. So I'd be very much in favor of continuing the curfew.
As a former college president, you've got some expertise on this. So let me ask you this. Do we risk pushing our problem elsewhere? College kids are college kids, right? Or can we change their behaviors is the question, because are they just going to go to private houses and have parties there versus restaurants?
There may be some of that, I agree, but when you reduce venues, you reduce options. And when you eliminate venues for a lot to gather, you at least put it into smaller groups. So anything that the city can do, that government can do to help manage that will help manage behaviors. And they're not permitted to drink in their dorm rooms. So it will just drive better behavior and eliminate some options for them to get into trouble for their own health and safety.
Carl, David Lockwood here. I'm in agreement with Beth Dinndorf, but it's only effective if it's uniform across the two counties. It does no good for City of Columbia to have an ordinance, and if West Columbia does not, then crowds will simply gravitate to where the hot spot is. And if they need to move across the river and go to bars and outlets, they'll do that. So it needs to be uniform across the entire metro area.
Fair. I totally agree with that. Great point.
Carl, this is Lynn Hutto. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Lynn.
I just wonder if, with the unemployment not being renewed, with the economic demise of a lot of people, financial demise of a lot of people due to not being able to work or decrease in hours, I just wonder if from a safety standpoint, it may not be a good idea, because as things get tighter, the crime increase, robberies, whatnot, may start to increase. And I just wonder if that wouldn't have an impact, so the curfew may be effective from that standpoint.
That's fair. I will say, having long conversations with Chief Holbrook and stuff, summer has always seen an uptick in crime based on juveniles mainly, and going through cars. And if y'all have ever been on a meeting with Chief Holbrook, he says 50% of crime would go down if people would just lock their car doors at night. And he says that in a little jokingly, but not really jokingly way. But we've seen some upticks there. And so I think you're right, Lynn, there'll probably be some impact with economics versus crime rates. And that's always been the case. So good valid points there.
When I just add something else, these students could become victims.
Yes, absolutely. Valid. Any other comments? Now, this is crazy because Vince Ford, this is the quietest you've been. I'm calling you out because this is just, it's uncharacteristic.
Well, I think you kind of nailed everything. From a healthcare standpoint, obviously, we know that things are still hot in this area. The number is trending around 20% positive. Our numbers have fluctuated up and down, but they're back up in the hospital in terms of positives. We're still encouraging people to obviously do the things that we know are going to make a difference. And I'll just add one other thing to that I may have added before, but families need to be real careful when they get together because of the distancing issue. And you heard one of the professionals nationally say that even intergenerational family, if you've got grandmother and grandchildren in the same home, they need to be real careful. So we don't see things have not changed lately. and it's still pretty hot. So that's the main thing. And social gatherings are not a good thing. I had a situation this week with my family, and they were a little upset because I didn't get close to any of them. And I'm just, and I would encourage families to be real careful, because now it's starting to spread among families.
So it's interesting that overall this week, I think we're trending right now around 20% positive. Overall, I think we're almost at 13% since the start of COVID, which, if y'all remember, we were down in the 4% positive range back in March and April, and now we're at 20. So I average out 13, but yeah, that's not a good trend at all. How about one last question for you? I'm putting you on the spot, Vince, and I apologize. How about hospitalization rates right now? Where are y'all at the capacity?
So our numbers are, from a COVID standpoint, they're up. And as of Wednesday, and it fluctuates from day to day, week to week, obviously. It had gone down, but now it's gone back up. I've got a briefing at 10 o'clock this morning, so we'll get a little more detailed information. Our biggest concern, as most of you know, is taking care of our staff, and the hours and the time that they put in. I heard looking at the national news, and someone, I guess across the country, are calling this, rather than a pandemic, they're calling it a plandemic. And I like one of the doctors say. He says, if you think this is a plan, come visit the ICU, and you'll see that this is for real, that people are struggling, our staff are having to do so much. So we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And but this is nothing has changed from a hospital front, and from a positive front. So it's still pretty taxing right now.
All right, we're thinking about you and all the frontline workers, and we appreciate all that they do. All right, I'm going to try something new today, and I haven't had the opportunity. Curtis Brown has been on here for a couple weeks, but he's a new partner at the chamber. And Curtis, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second, if you don't mind. And one, let me welcome you. But two, you got a captive audience here. You want to give a 30-second spot on you and your business?
Yeah, Carl, thank you. We are up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we kind of migrated to the area because my daughter is a contractor for the Air Force. So as she travels, we travel. But we did visit Columbia, so we found it to be a nice place to look to expand. But our company is called Intent Marketing, and we do specifically text message marketing. So we let companies, or offer companies and organizations, the ability to build lists of their clients or their customers, and then reach out to that list ongoing via text message, whether it's a fundraising alert for municipalities, deals and specials for restaurants and car dealers. We really just help them reach out via text message, and really find a way to do that with an entire marketing piece behind that. So we're looking to expand and find more companies who are looking for that critical messaging piece. And we know that text messaging is that, so we help them put that in place.
Great. That's awesome. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. And thanks for being on here today. Now, I'm reading a couple of chat pieces. Adam Vance has a great point that we don't have to cancel all events. I know Adam and his team have done a yeoman's job in making groups that need to connect virtually as well as in person safely. And so if y'all, though the chamber may have done some things differently, there are some safe options out there to meet safely. So Adam, well taken. And Todd said the same thing. We can get creative. I agree. Let me on that front. Let me just tell you, we had an executive board meeting this week, and the question was posed to our board on what they thought, and so the board said let's bring this back up at our September 1st board meeting and reevaluate it then. So we're going to take it every month, and we're not going to make a blanket statement. We're not going to cancel anything for 3 or 4 months at a time, but we are going to take it on a monthly basis. So because we would like as well to get back together. So, all right, any other thoughts?
Carl, Beth, again, I just want to compliment you and thank you and your team for hosting the education panel on Tuesday. It was exceptional.
Great.
So great insight for all of us. I was able to take some of that information and use it and put it into practice immediately. So thank you very much for doing that. And Adam, sound and image is awesome. We're looking at a different way to do it. Smaller venue together, and then live stream it for everyone else. Combo, you bet. Thank you.
All right, guys, it's 9:30, and I know people got a busy day ahead of you. So thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate it. Joe, thanks for your questions this week. I appreciate that very much. Let us know if we can help. We're back in the office, and we look forward to working with you. And we'll see you next Friday right here. Y'all be good. Be safe.
You too, Carl.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.